competitors must be very fit and they must be very fast. And I was like, well, hey, I don't know if we're either one of those, but we're going to try as hard as we can to get to that point to ensure that we can do it and we can make it. And so there's a lot of work to be done, but you know what? We have 6 months and we're going to start now. So.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boys, a Swimrun podcast. I'm Chip.
I'm Chris, and this is episode 214 of the show. Happy Swimrun Christmas, everybody.
Woohoo!
Yeah, fresh off the news that they qualified for the 2024 ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship, we welcome to the show our friends Pete and Jarett, A.K.A. Team Mamaaboyz, with a Z, to the show. We had a really fun conversation about their brief but epic swimrun journey and got their thoughts on the additional epicness that this year will hold for them. Chipper, This was a good one.
It's a great conversation. Really, really pleased that they gave us the exclusive with their fresh news that they have there as they go on to do their journey to ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship this year. Big shout out to all the other teams that qualified. We know it's a lot of hard work getting to the finish line, and this is the first step. So we're really excited for Pete and Jarett and their journey along the way. Let's just jump right into it.
Yep. It's going to be a theme the next couple of weeks, everyone.
Yeah.
Short intros.
Short intros. But anyway, regardless, let's jump into our conversation with Pete and Jarett, Team Mamaaboyz.
With a Z. I don't know what else to say to the two gentlemen that are joining us for this episode of Partners Month. Jarett and Pete, congratulations.
Thank you.
And welcome.
Yes. You guys literally, we're recording this the day after Swimrun Christmas. You guys just qualified for the World Championship. You guys had put it out there that this is what you wanted to do. This was a goal of yours. The journey's begun. How are you guys feeling?
You know, thinking about it, we have 6 months. We have a lot of work.
Pretty scared.
It's probably the right things to be thinking. We have 6 months, but we're also scared. I think that's a good balance of it right there.
Agreed.
Yeah, because it's a long time away, but it's going to go by real quickly. Now, take us back to sort of the beginning of your swimrun journey. How did you guys meet? How did you discover swimrun, and why did you want to put the World Championship in particular sort of as a quest that you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, I don't know if it was so much a quest at the outset, but I started swimrunning back in 2020. My cousin Pat Reagan got me to do Casco Bay, and I did Casco Bay short course. It was amazing, and then Pat needed to have hip surgery. So I needed to find a new partner, and Jarett and I worked together. He lived in Seattle. I was in New York, and I remembered working with him at meetings, and he's a big swimmer, and he had done like the Cross Tahoe swim. So I randomly was thinking, like, who am I going to find to do swimrun with? And I hadn't actually talked to Jarett in probably like a year and a half because we weren't on the same team anymore. And I texted Jarett over LinkedIn and I was like, hey, do you want to do this race with me? It's Swimrun. When you tell people about it, they have no idea what it is. I was trying to explain to him how it works. He thought he would just be swimming and we would be doing a relay.
Oh, it's like a relay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get that.
Very common response.
Oh, like, so do you do the swims or the runs? I'm like, actually, we both do both of them. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So like he got back to me in like 30 minutes. He was like, all right, let me check. And then 30 minutes later, he's like, I'm fully in and committed. So
wow.
That is where the partnership started.
Jarett, did you go right to Google, or how quickly were you able to confirm this?
No, well, I have to tell you from my side, it was like a perfect storm. So I had competed in a lot of open water swims. I think like in 2017, I would say it was kind of about like my peak performance, like swimming wise. And then since that time, since 2017, it all just went downhill. And bless my great, beautiful supporting wife. But about in 2020 or 2021, whenever Pete had reached out to me, like the week before, she kindly nudged me and said, like, hey, I think you need to start working out again.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there was like a perfect storm. And I have to also admit, I have 2 kids, and I was out low in energy, and I knew I needed to get my life kind of back on track from a fitness standpoint. So when Pete reached out, it was sort of the goal and the kick that I needed to start doing something. And I didn't Google it. I literally thought I would just be doing the swim part, which I knew that I could do. And so I committed to Pete. I got a sign off from my wife, and she's like, yeah, great goal. Go for it. Told me to do it. He signed us up. And then he told me to start listening to your podcast. He's like, this is how you're going to help. This is going to help you prepare.
Smart move.
Very
I was
smart.
just like, what?
Listen to these 2 jokers. They'll get you ready.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys did a great job of explaining, because I'm listening and I'm like, you're tethered? Wait a minute, I have to run and I have to swim? I was really confused. But I believe, here's a little bit of philosophy of mine, is that, you know, details are power, but they can be positive. It can be power in the negative and positive way. Kind of live my life of like, if I get too caught up on what I can't do because of the details, I'll never do anything. So this is kind of a vision of how that manifests. Is I was like, yeah, I'll do this. And then I just went for it, and then had to find out the details later. So that's how my journey started. And it was hell.
And what about you know, I love the team name. And you know, you guys are the second team we've had on, I guess, besides ourselves, with Boyz with a Z. So tell us about the team name origin.
Yeah. So basically, the Boyz was definitely a nod to you two.
Honored, of course.
My initial name with my old partner, we were Barnacle Boys. And so Boyz was sort of in the DNA. And then I was trying to explain to Jarett, I was like, oh, we need a clever team name. And Jarett just had no concept of like really what the team meant or how important the name was. So
super
It's a
important.
cornerstone to Swimrun.
Yeah. So we worked at a big tech company, and Mama's basically, you know, we worked at one of the FANG stocks. And when all the FANG stocks changed their name, the new acronym that Jim Cramer gave it was MAMA. So we became Mamaaboyz. And, you know, we didn't really feel like Tech Bros was really our persona, you know.
Yeah.
Mamaaboyz was born. And we've debated whether to change it or not, and I feel like we're branded enough that
you're kind of stuck.
Yeah,
you're kind of stuck.
Plus
Unless
the
you want to
tattoos.
show up like incognito, you know.
Yeah.
Plus the matching
tattoos you guys got. Those are really
the
those are
matching
gonna be hard.
ass cheek tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't go back now after those tattoos. So.
You have to get a new Instagram handle. It's a whole thing.
we're too committed.
So I love it. I don't know how many swimrun partnerships start over LinkedIn, but it might be the first one. So congrats on that piece. But where was your breakout race? And it sounds like you two are living in different places. And what was your not marquee? What do they call that? Your first your rookie race.
Debut.
Yeah, your debut. That's the word. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Yeah, our debut was in Casco Bay short course. And we started with short course. Jarett, you know, we were practicing separately and trying to train for this event. And so when we actually showed up, you know, we actually hadn't practiced together at all other than the day before. So we had a little bit of learning curve. I don't know if you want to share some more on that, Jarett, but the first race was interesting.
You know, Casco Bay, we did short course, like Pete mentioned, and I'm not a runner. I guess I am a runner now. I've forced myself to be a runner per these races, but it was pretty rough. And I wasn't used to some of the gear that we use in swimrun. Like I know how to, I use paddles. I'm a swimmer, but I never used a pool buoy like quite as large as what we use for swimrun.
Yeah.
And
isn't it glorious?
It is glorious. But the first time, like racing with it, I had practiced with it in a pool, but not in open water. I kept like losing the pool buoy. I would stop. Pete would run straight into the back of me. We'd be like in the middle of the ocean. And I just kept thinking like, what did I sign up for? Like, I will never do this again. This is a one-time thing. But there's something that happens like when you cross the finish line where you're like, wow, I did something hard. I did something challenging. I was in nature. I was exploring. I was having an adventure. And then when you start thinking about the transitions between swim and run, you're like, hey, that wasn't too bad. I could do that again. So I really do think like that Casco Bay, though it was a short course race for us, really was the catalyst. And Pete had already told me like when we were on the like getting ready to start the race, he's like, we'll do long course at some point. And I was like, whoa, buddy, like let's not
slow your roll.
But it's worked and it's been great. It's been fun.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I love that. I think there is something magical that happens in your first swim run. Pete, I appreciate you. You and I are kindred spirits since you and I were the ones who convinced other people to do swim run with us. I remember when I brought it to Chipper, it was sort of the same reaction. You know, I don't know if you're having some.
I'm always down to do.
Yeah, you're pretty down.
Stuff,
It's like, hey, you want to do this crazy thing? It's like, yeah, sure, why not? From that point, you know, you've done more races. You guys came on my radar when you started posting memes, and I was like, yes, more memes. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about that part, because I think, you know, the four of us aren't winning any races, right? We're there to have fun, have an experience, and I think, you know, we don't take ourselves seriously, but we take the sport seriously, and I think memes is such a great way to kind of like cut the tension on a lot of this stuff and have fun with it. Where did the sort of the ideas for you guys to start posting memes come from, and sort of that whole vibe?
Yeah, I think so we did Casco Bay the first year, and then and we didn't do any more races, and it was a lot of training for build up to Casco to just kind of our season was over there. Mm-hmm. So I remember we met up in the fall and said, hey, let's do like a whole series of races the following year, which was frankly this year.
Yeah.
We're only in year 2. And we decided to sign up for Lake James. And now that we had our name and a race under our belt, it was a matter of, we have to start posting. And, you two do a great job at just like promoting. And it's like, if we could do a little bit from our Instagram, like that's like a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun just to kind of rally the troops and kind of celebrate all the races and,
yeah,
all the people that you meet. But this year was really our first year of like trying multiple races. And frankly, at Lake James, we were still short course. So it's like Lake James and Austin, where we did long course. I mean, it was quite a transformation. And then, Casco Bay, I remember talking to you on the ferry, Chris, and we didn't even really understand points. Like we were like, oh, we have to get these points to go to Worlds. And you were kind of talking us through the point system a little bit. And
happy to. Yeah. This is normal ferry conversation, right. By the way. Between that and me tagging everyone's pole buoys.
We had a lot of extra time on the ferry this year, unfortunately, or last year, rather.
That's for sure.
All the fog detours. But, I mean, lo and behold, did we know that Austin would be so abundant with points doing the long course. And I think, we were very excited to do Austin, and we had a great race, and it's just a lot of fun because it's low pressure. It's the last race of the year, as you guys know. But we walked away now that it had new ownership with a lot of points. That was kind of unexpected for us. So we said, what the heck, we're going to apply for Worlds, and here we are.
Well, we got that advice. This was a bunch of years ago now, that you should do the World Championship before you think you're ready for it. So, just you already checked that box off, It's like it's here. You haven't done that many long course races, but hey, this is the year.
That many, we've done one.
Done one
course.
Well,
this is one and a third. Casco Bay, we got like 6 miles in before we got.
Yeah,
that's true.
Got a couple laps in it on those islands. Still a fun time out there
for sure.
So did you? I guess it sounded like you had some points. Was ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship, like something you're like, hey, let's get that in 2 or 3 years. Let's build the muscle a little bit, and then it just sort of happened that you realized, hey, maybe we can make it in on the lottery piece, or you started kind of looking and you're like, hey, we actually got the points. Let's put in, and we actually want to do this, or like let's put in and see what happens, kind of thing. Which some of those one of those two scenarios I would anticipate.
I think it was somewhere in between. Both of those scenarios. So when we were in Austin, we were kind of talking about, hey, we need to start preparing for the next year if we want to be strategic about this and actually make it to Worlds. So it was, I think, more of a thought of not this year, but next year, like where we can put in more time, more effort, more races, and we can start to build our strategy. But after the Austin race and realizing that we had accumulated points, we went ahead and we were like, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try this out. And it was one of those feelings of if we don't make it, it will be disappointing, but potentially a relief. But if we do make it, like how exciting is that? And then we now have a goal to really put ourselves in motion to make this happen. And so I'm really excited. It was unexpected, but it gives us a point to make sure that we're moving and progressing towards.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's sort of, again, like similar to your acceptance of Pete's LinkedIn DM there, of like another catalyst to really motivate you all and push you to get out there and really take on what's going to be an amazing day for you out there. But has it sunk in yet that you're officially in? And to walk us through, I guess, when you kind of find out who got the email, who's texting who first, or were you both on it when the nomination came in?
So I got the email. However, we were notified first by the water buffalo before either of us read our email at like 3 a.m. in the morning or before we saw the posting. So that's how we found out.
Okay. Team Water Buffaloes. They like to spice it up as well on Instagram.
Yes, they do.
For sure.
That's for sure. I consider them like Sour Patch Kids. Like they're sour and they're sweet. So they will. I don't know if it's when we met them at Lake James, if they saw us and they were like, "Hey, those two have dad bods just like us. Like we'll be friends with them while everyone
Kindred
else
spirits.
is super fit." But they befriended us, and then since then we'll get texts that are like, "Hey, like you should try this," and it's very supportive. But then it's followed up by "You suck."
Like an older brother vibe, it feels like.
For sure.
Okay.
So funny. That's so funny. Yeah, Jarett, we were talking about that. You visited us. Well, you didn't visit us, but you were in town, and we met up to do a little run to Coit Tower, which was super fun, by the way.
It was a great time.
Really enjoyed that. But yeah, we were chatting about just like, it's so interesting, sort of like the team dynamics and we certainly get our share of people like, oh, what are you guys going to do and stuff. And we just usually just poo all that talk. But I'm curious, I'm assuming that you guys are going to sign up for this thing and go for it. And I know you just found out yesterday, but are you already visualizing sort of what this next 6 months are going to look like? Are you guys starting to communicate as to like what plans you're going to make? Totally fine if the answer is like, hey, it just happened a day ago, buddy. But
slow down, Chris.
If I'm just asking.
I would say for me, I very excited. I think we initially had made a light schedule of races that we wanted to do. So we're going to do Lake James.
Nice.
We're going to do Casco. And then we're like, oh, Casco will be a really good, primer for Worlds. But also, too, the big elephant in the room this year is like, at least for me personally, I need to up my fitness like 1,000%. You know what I mean? Like it's the fitter you are for that race, the better. And I think for me, I'm really, I'm probably going to get a coach. Like wasn't something that I would think, oh, well, I have a coach next year in 2024 for, for anything. So I'm in the middle of kind of exploring just like how to up level my overall fitness and really make sure that I show up in the best shape possible for Worlds. So
sure,
that's the beginning of that.
I think we're working on it. Pete is really into the details, and he's the one who kind of keeps us on track to where we need to be going. And so I rely a lot on him to give direction for our team on how to prepare. One of the things that hit me today, I actually was on the website for the World Champions, and it literally says that competitors must be very fit and they must be very fast. And was like, well, hey, I don't know if we're either one of those, but we're going to try as hard as we can to get to that point to ensure that we can do it and we can make it.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of work to be done, but you know what? We have 6 months and we're going to start now. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would just put fit and fast in quotes. I think it's better if you're like strong and steady. It's probably more appropriate.
It's an endurance event.
It's an endurance event. It's just one day, so it's not it's not crazy. It's not one water race or anything, right? But yeah. So I mean, I think that sounds like a very healthy approach. I think thinking about coaching, thinking about how you can make sure you show up healthy and in a good headspace and feeling like you're prepared, that's going to be the most beneficial thing. When we did it our first year, we had these series of episodes where every month we were just peppering people with questions, and it was sort of our own anxiety kind of on blast for the world to enjoy. Maybe they weren't enjoying it. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we found just like there's so many people are willing to just share their journey and help you along the way. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. Like that, this community is just, they want everyone to have a positive experience there. Yeah. They don't want people to be like, get chewed up and spit out. And you guys are already part of this community. So I'm assuming that, there'll be people reaching out to you or people willing to help you guys. But I'll say as the first person to give you some unsolicited advice, I would say Casco. Definitely want to do Casco. Definitely want to do a Casco long course. It's the only thing that's going to be even close to Sweden, and it's not even that close.
Yeah, and I was thinking Whistler looks really awesome too, and the time of that, I think that is in June, right, or something like that.
July 7th, I think.
July, yeah, I think is right.
Yeah, so that could work. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are up for traveling all over the place, Whistler looks good. Looks fun.
Yeah,
I think if I tend to think about it too much, I get a stomach ache. So,
all right, we'll just end the interview now.
But I do think, on your comment on like the camaraderie that exists, I come from like the competitive swim world, and I think the camaraderie there is like everyone's a little bit weird. You have to be like, if you're willing to like walk around in like barely any clothes and like jump in a pool, but there's not that same camaraderie in the sense of people are willing to help you like along the way. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that was really alluring to me from that first race at Casco a year ago was just the amount of people, if you went up and asked a question, they were willing to give you advice and to help. And while there's definitely, you're all true competitors, all those people who are listening to it, like there's competition, but it doesn't get in the way to like lending a hand or being helpful, which is amazing. So
yeah.
It's a really cool journey.
And I know that's your experience in the sort of like the swim run community in the United States. And I think what we recognized almost immediately getting to Sweden and for the ÖTILLÖ experience, it's oddly the exact same. It's like, it's so weird that we're so far apart, and yeah, there is some cross-pollination for sure, but like it's still the same community over there as well. So I think that's something really just obviously really, really cool for the whole sport, and the situation there is like that comes through forever, or through no matter what continent you're on. But it is a common thread throughout, which is, one of the big reasons that we're such big fans of the sport. Well, have you started looking at flights?
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the slow roll of this budget with my wife right now, and it's not going too well.
You don't worry. At
Pete's
some
got
point,
an itinerary like in his draft email right now, ready to send to Jarett. Like, hey, here's what you need to be booking.
I do have a lot of travel alerts set up already. We're checking everything. But
at some point you'll reach the throw money at the problem stage, but you have many months before you get to that.
Well, I'm thankful ARC has its pre-sale going on right now, because I've just made a nice sizable order. So
absolutely, and the Keel Mega pool buoy coming out for all us larger framed folks, or people who need max buoyancy as well. So it sounds like the plans are not totally firmed up for the season, but certainly Swimrun Lake James is a great start to the season, and that long course has some very familiar aspects to ÖTILLÖ with kind of a larger run block in the middle, and also very much the island to island, or you're not doing a looped thing. We absolutely love that course over there at Swimrun Lake James, and you all did the short course last year.
Yeah, we did, and it was super muddy, and there was like a big rainstorm, so it was quite an obstacle course, but it was a lot of fun. But that run in the middle is like, it's just like the precursor to the 13-mile run we'll have to run in the middle of Worlds after probably 6 or 7 hours on our feet. So
yeah, for sure. And one thing in the middle in that run, particular, whatever it is, 12K or 8 miles or whatever, but it's I remember being out there, and I was talking to Chris. I'm like, there's we're in the middle of we're just in the middle of nowhere. There's no one around, there's no roads, nothing. And that feeling happens in ÖTILLÖ multiple times throughout the day, which is such a cool part of the adventure and the experience that you have as well. But I think there is bits and pieces of ÖTILLÖ, and the race director, Kristen Geno, has done ÖTILLÖ herself. So she knows firsthand what it's like, and you can really see that through the course, how it's applied. And she makes it so that experience comes through and translate. I think they do a really great job of that at Swimrun Lake James. So you all have a blast on that one, no doubt.
That wasn't sponsored content, by the way. We just love that race.
I remember that portion, at Lake James, where I literally felt like we were in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, where are we? I have no idea where we are. When you look at the map, I just couldn't conceive it in my mind. And then we're running, and all of a sudden there's just this random older guy on a bike. Do you remember this, Pete? He just showed up out of nowhere, and we hadn't seen anyone for quite a while. And I was like, okay, I guess we're kind of close to civilization. If anything goes wrong, there's at least this guy out here who's just biking around in the rain. I don't know if that's what it's like
raining,
where you're out there and there's no one around, or if there's pretty much racers and you can kind of see them at all times. I guess it depends on your speed. You tell me. You've been there.
I mean, I don't want to overstate it or oversell it or anything. I think there was probably 60 to 90 minutes that we didn't see other humans. Is that accurate, Chris? Maybe not. Maybe 30 to 60 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not 90.
90 okay,
seems
a
like a
little
lot,
bit
but
high.
Yeah, definitely long time. Long time.
But yeah, it's is quite the experience and adventure, and it sounds like you all have your plans. You're on the right path. You're on the right path.
Already. We're working on our social media calendar now, so
hell yeah,
nice.
Our cadence and our build up, and
you got your workout builds, you got your meme builds, nutrition. There's all sorts of things to dial in for ÖTILLÖ.
Yeah.
So tell us this: how wild and crazy from someone who's not Team Mamaaboyz is it for us to be taking this on, knowing that we've done one third of a long course race?
I mean, I think it's totally doable. You have plenty of time to train your cardiovascular system. You have plenty of time to train for the specificity of the race. I think what can make this race really daunting is not having the swim fitness. And the more you can just get on top of swimming, Jarett, if you're leading all the swims, Pete, just enjoy it in the back, baby. It's the best place to be.
I will be enjoying it.
Hell yeah. Feeling super strong, that's gonna pay so many dividends. I mean, when we did it the first year, obviously training for it, we took the swimming super seriously because we just wanted to, as much as you can reduce sort of incidences of things turning into ordeals. I think you want to try to do that. And swim, which is the thing that causes people most trepidation, and triathlon and open water swimming in general. If you can just be on top of that and feel super strong and prepared for the challenge ahead, that just sets you up for a great day. I mean, when we did it, we were super prepared, and the swims were just a non-issue, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Just non-issue, as many things as you can. Have your gear sorted out, so that's a non-issue. Have plans, as many as you can sort out, so that's a non-issue. So you can just be in the moment, be present, be in the experience, and just like take it all in. Now, obviously, the fitter you are, the faster you can get through it, and that's fun. But I think it's more about going in the right headspace where it's like, hey, this is a huge day. It's an awesome experience. You're basically in the homeland of swimrun on the original course. I mean, it's just magical. So being prepared, but also being prepared for having the fun and the magic of it. Mm-hmm. I think like that's the headspace that you want to try to arrive in, really.
And then when do we need to start our FICA strategy? Is that just sort of the week before? Because we don't want to derail the fitness.
I'll let Chipper answer that one.
I mean, we went hard in the paint almost immediately off the plane, like straight from the plane. FICA, we just like walked right to it because one, the jet lag was killer. But you know, you need the calories to get you through this ordeal, so you might as well start carb loading and with the best FICA situation you can find there. But yeah, obviously FICA is gonna help you have a great time, and it's a great experience as well. But yeah, and you know, to add, like, I echo all Chris's points there, and I think just being realistic about how long it's going to take you. And like, hey, you know, you're not going to turn into some Adonis overnight or 6 months. It's not possible physically, but like understanding where you think you can hit that timing and just understand like the time on feet, because it's not like running. It's just a different experience, but it's a day on your feet, and just being ready to have that. And then like bonus swim fitness and having that will definitely put wind in your sails for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because another way of thinking about it, the fitter you are in the water, the less energy it's going to take you to move through it, which then you can save that for the running, or, you know, for the emotions, for everything else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another point, and we certainly took this approach going into it the second year versus the first year, was really making sure that you had sort of like your legs ready for the pounding of it. We trained the second year more as if we were training for like an ultra marathon or something, just in terms of just a lot of time on your feet. Because by the time you get to Orna, 2/3 of the way through the race, like you think, oh, sweet, now we can take a break from swimming and run. I mean, it's its own challenge. We've mentioned this on the show a lot. I mean, it's like a quest within a quest to survive this gauntlet that you're like, oh yeah, no problem. You get to Orna, it's like super climby, you know, going up and down, rollers, like over rocks and stuff. And then you finally get to the road, and then it's not like a flat road. And then you think you're done. It's like, oh no, you're back in the woods. So there's just a lot there to make sure you're prepared for. But it's not insurmountable. I mean, people do it all the time. I mean, we're going to be featuring, spoiler alert, we're going to be featuring the Calamanders next week from when this one airs. And, you know, they're fighting cutoffs. They're moving consistently through the race and made it to the end. I believe they were the last finishers of the race last year. Nice. So, you know, it's doable. It's doable.
Yeah,
and I think you just need to have the right attitude and, and just like embrace the kind of the insanity of it all.
Can't wait. Like, I'm beyond excited to do the race and get after it. And I must say, like, one of my most favorite things since we've upgraded from short course to long course is that after listening to your show for so many years and hearing and actually getting to meet a lot of the long course teams, and we have so many of our long course friends that are coming to the race with us this year. Yeah. It's so fun to be out on the course and know people on the course. And you don't really get that with the short course because there's, you know, lots of new people coming into the sport. So you don't necessarily know the teams that you're racing with or passing or behind. But I must say one of the best things about the Austin race was just the people on the course. And, you know, sometimes we might see you guys, like if it's a turnaround, you're way ahead, and then we'll see some other teams and pass some other teams. But like the fun on the course and knowing sort of the cast of characters that are swim running cannot be understated to the overall enjoyment of the sport. And I think that's one of the big things that I've personally enjoyed this year is just like getting to know the other teams and, you know, we travel a lot for work. And, you know, as Jarett said, he chatted you guys up to do a workout. And I was in Santa Monica the other day and Callie Cohead's like, why didn't you bring your suit and make sure?
Oh yeah, they're not joking around there.
Yeah, so like that's a lot of fun. You don't get that in a lot of other sports. That literally wherever you're going in the U.S., there's probably a team there that would be happy to take you out on a local course.
Absolutely,
yeah, for sure.
And you'll really. ÖTILLÖ is that great experience as well that you'll share. It might be you'll share one island. You might share 5 hours, like trading back and forth with different teams, or, you know, oh, hey, we're keeping up with this team. Oh, this is cool. And then they get in the water and, you know, oh, okay, we won't see them again for the rest of the day kind of thing. But like you do definitely get that shared experience. And that's something that I think what really is so magical about the whole experience of ÖTILLÖ is that you're basically in this bubble with all the same people for 3 days and you all did the same thing together, and everyone has their different take and experience on it, and you share it with so many different people that you just kind of make all these really interesting connections with folks, and like a mutual shared experience with a lot of, you know, 300
and
people.
That actually reminds me, Chipper. So when we did Casco in 2021, because they didn't hold it in 2020 and got canceled.
Right, yeah.
So in 2021, we're like, oh, let's be crazy. Let's throw a post-race party. We hadn't done anything like that before, and we were convinced that there was going to be at least 3 people there because a friend of ours told us that he was definitely going to show up. So we knew it was going to be 3. Tons of people showed up, and I think what really surprised me was how many people were just so happy to have other people that they could share their war stories of this like kooky thing. And I remember that every race after that, it's just like, I always have this moment when I was like, hey, look at us doing this crazy activity in this really random place. And we're having so much fun doing it. And like, aren't we lucky to have discovered this thing? And and that first post-race party was really just like, you know, Marcus was holding court and people were like, oh, what do you think about this? He's like, oh, just like really an opportunity to sort of commiserate and celebrate what was an adventure for everyone. And I think, you know, to your point, Pete, it's like it is really great when you share miles with people and you see people out on the course and everyone's rooting for you, everyone's taking care of you. If you needed anything, they would.
Your back.
They would do it. I mean, I can just say that as a blanket statement. Any swim runner on the long course, if you're like, hey man, I need a gel, how many do you need? Yeah. And that's just it's a really beautiful thing about the sport, and I hope it never changes.
Yeah, it's so true. I think at Lake James, like I said, Pete knows the details, and we were at Lake James, and he's like, that's so-and-so, and that's so-and-so, and it was all like going over my head, and I was like, I don't know who any of these people are, what I'm doing. And I went up, and I actually asked Marcus a question, had no idea who he was, and this guy just like he's like, oh, you can use this pull buoy and like try this and try that. And I felt that from almost everyone that I've interacted with within the sport, which it's been amazing. And it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Hey, you know what? That's that's what we do every week on the show.
Our Swimrun sales pitch to any new folks out
every
there.
Week. It's like a new sales pitch on why Swimrun's super cool. And why
well,
it's not triathlon.
At Austin, we had our first micro influencer moment from our Instagram page. Now, mind you, we're only at 280 followers. No, wait, 182? I don't know. We're still small.
Lost 50 followers.
Numbers here.
We were recognized. Someone came up to us and said, "Are you Mamaaboyz?" And anyway, it was like the funniest thing. Our first, so
that
nice. Isn't it like slightly mortifying when people recognize you? That's my experience.
Well, I think the real situation that occurred was like they recognized us and they were like, "What about those water buffalo?" They were always like dogging.
Yeah, it's like,
what about
older brothers?
They're like, it's a healthy relationship.
Yeah,
sure. Just make sure they're in your rear view mirror and at ÖTILLÖ, and I think you'll be set.
Yeah. We had more points going into Worlds, just saying.
That's true.
Okay.
You know what? I wasn't going to bring it up.
There.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but I must admit that when I was looking at the list, I couldn't help but notice someone was ahead of someone else. That's all I'm going to say.
Are we fanning the flames right now?
I'm just saying I couldn't help but notice that.
You just threw
first
like
page, second page. I don't know.
You just threw like a bottle of gasoline on the bonfire.
We're going to hear about it at Lake James. It's like our first rematch since like Cascade. We didn't get to race. But,
oh, yeah.
And they're pretty active on Strava, stalking us. So it'll be fun.
I think a little healthy competition will be good. And you know, I think down in the heart of hearts, it'll be a good motivator, and you all will be pulling each other in the same direction there. Cool. And I think that's what's so fun about the whole thing.
Yeah,
but,
Chipper, and you did the math. How many U.S. teams are qualified?
21 total from my counting.
Amazing.
So quite a contingency there. I think U.S. was the third largest country represented last year, and I feel like with 21 teams, third place seems pretty good. Hard to beat the home Swedes, but yeah, really, really great showing from US.
And so many first timer teams. I feel like a lot of our friends are just as excited as we are to Swimrun Christmas came for a lot of us, so it was
for sure.
Santa delivered.
I still can't believe that that's now the official term for it, that we just literally just pulled out of our butt in 2020.
You coined a movement.
I know, it's crazy. I love it. Makes me so happy.
Start trademarking this stuff sort of immediately, so you can get your residuals in year 2 and year 3.
Yes, for the tens of people who would care. Yes. Well, we're super excited for you guys. We can't wait to sort of live vicariously through your journey. And the FOMO, we're talking about it with our buddy Phil. It's like major FOMO to not be doing the race this year, but definitely not experiencing the training FOMO, training for the World Championship. So you guys have a year ahead of you. Obviously, we're here to support you and help any way we can. Wish you happy health, and congrats again. And thank you so much for being part of Partners Month.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
For sure.
Of course. Well, we're rooting on for you, and our DMs are always open for whatever questions you have, of course. But don't forget to tap into the rest of the community, and congrats to all the other 21 teams from the U.S. who qualified for ÖTILLÖ, the Swim World Championship in 2024. But we're definitely rooting for the Mamaaboyz.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboyz.com. That's boys with a Z, for swimrun resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run.
And then a swim.
Then another run.
Then another swim.
Then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel too.
Of course, yes.